I'm going to be working on a project with you today, and I've got a few different techniques that I'm going to be using on it. I found this little side table with these it's got a pedestal base and it's got these really cool ornate carvings on it. I'll show you. See how neat that is? It could be a small side table or a plant stand or just an accent table. But I went ahead and I painted 2 coats on it. 2 coats of chalk mineral paint, and they are dry. What I used was Dixie Belle Cobalt Blue and Bunker Hill Blue. I did a 50-50 mix of Cobalt and Bunker Hill Blue. And that got me the color that I used. So, like I said, I did 2 coats. They're dry, and now I want to do a stencil on the top of my table. And I chose this mandala stencil. It is about the same size as the tabletop, so I thought it would look perfect on top. And I'm going to be using copper leaf to do on this, on the stencil on the top, and just to add some sparkle. I love gold leaf, silver leaf, copper leaf, and I think it'll look really neat. So I went ahead and I used some stencil adhesive on the back of my stencil, and I've let it dry to a tack. So probably about 5 to 10 minutes would be sufficient. And I get spray stencil adhesive you can get at the craft store or Amazon. I do not stencil without stencil adhesive. I used to be scared to death of stenciling, and since I found the adhesive, no big deal. I'll stencil away. Stencil all day. So I put my stencil adhesive on the back. It's dried to a tack. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on my tabletop where I want it. I'm going to do the best I can to center this bad boy. So it's almost exactly the same size as the top of the table, so that helps me to get it on center. Move it over a little bit. Okay, so I believe I've got it centered. Okay, so I'm just going to press it down a little bit so that adhesive can stick to the top of my piece. Obviously, you want to make sure your paint's pretty dry for obvious reasons. Got some hair in my stencil. That's awesome. Pick that out. We don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to be laying the adhesive for my copper leaf over the stencil, just like you would paint. When I use paint, I use a foam roller and I brush on my paint. If I was going to be using liquid adhesive, brushable adhesive, I would do the same thing. I would use a foam roller and roll on my my adhesive. So this is gilding adhesive. Comes in a little bottle. There's all different brands. Sometimes it's also called sizing. So if you're on Amazon and you're looking for adhesive and it says gold leaf sizing, that's the right thing. You can also get these fun adhesive pens, so you can draw your design on to whatever you're doing, your furniture or your wall or whatever you're gold leafing. You can draw the design on and it will leave the adhesive, and then you can apply your leaf to that. So that's pretty cool. We'll be using that one day soon. Just got to find the right thing. Today I'm going to be using spray adhesive. It's metal leaf adhesive in a spray can. I actually got this one at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. And don't tell anybody I said this, but if you're in a really big pinch, you can use Elmer's spray adhesive because it dries clear. Just don't use a whole lot. And just like with any other of the adhesives, make sure it's dry to a tack and not wet. So probably 5 to 10 minutes. And you can just lightly touch it. You can tell if it's wet if it gets on your finger. If it's tacky, it's just kind of sticky. And that's how you want it. You just want it to be sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and spray. So I covered my stencil with my spray adhesive. I'm gonna give that a few minutes to dry, and I will show you the copper leaf. So I buy sheets of copper leaf. You can buy it in flakes. You can buy rub-on foils. I use rub-on foils sometimes, but for certain things, I just really like to use the leafing. So it requires a little bit less elbow grease. For bigger surfaces, I definitely want to use my leafing. Comes in bigger sheets, or it's easier to apply more at a time. So it comes in copper, silver, and gold in this brand, which is just the Michaels brand. I use it all the time and it works great. Martha Stewart makes some. There's several companies that just specialize in metallic leafing on Amazon. You can find all different kinds. I haven't really found any that I prefer over others. They all kind of work pretty well to me. I haven't found one that I don't like anyway, so I usually just stick with this since I have tons of it. It comes in sheets, very, very delicate sheets. So you can see it comes in like a little pad, and there's in between each sheet is a little piece of paper to separate the sheets. And I promise you there's some in here somewhere. I might use, oh, there's some. Like, that's how much I've used. Where are you, copper leaf? Come on, little buddy. Okay, there we got a sheet. Okay, so there's my copper leaf. See how delicate it is? I mean, you can literally just blow on it or look at it and it'll like wrinkle. So that's what we're working with. And I think we got a nice, yeah, we got a nice tack going on our stencil. I could probably leave it set for another minute or two, but we're gonna go ahead and check it out. I bet you it's good to go. So I'm going to take off my stencil carefully. Okay, so now I've got a flat synthetic brush that's dry and clean. I have this one designated specifically for leafing. You can really use any brush. I just prefer a flat, a flat brush it looks like about a 3-inch brush. So I'm gonna start over here, and I'm just gonna place my leaf on top of where my adhesive is, and just kind of tap it down into the adhesive. Now, there's a couple ways that you can do the leafing. Most of the time when I'm using it, I take a brush and I apply my adhesive, and I just kind of do like random spots where I want the gold leaf, like no rhyme or reason, just kind of like, drips or cracks of gold leaf. And you can tear off pieces and lay them down and kind of manipulate the leaf to look how you want it. But since I'm wanting this to take the stencil shape, I'm just gonna lay these sheets on here and hope for the best, right? And the reason I'm laying all my sheets on first before I start brushing away the excess is because once I start brushing away the excess, you'll see all these little crumbles start to form, and they like that, and they get stuck in the adhesive. So I prefer to cover it with sheets first before all the little crumbles. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down my whole surface with my copper leaf sheets, and then I will use my brush to brush away all the excess. Oh, little buddy. All right, there's that one. Just want to lightly tap it down. If you're trying to conserve your leaf, which I know a lot of people do, you can tear off the pieces that are not stuck and place them strategically in the adhesive. You could, that's an option. But I'm just gonna live a life of gluttony here, and I'm gonna cover the whole thing in my copper leaf and then brush it away. I love doing this, it's so fun. It's just satisfying. And you can metallic leaf just about anything. Everything deserves a little bling in it. Okay, so let's see, how many more sheets do I got in here? Okay, I'm out of copper leaf, so I'm gonna have to open up a new package here. So the inspiration for this table is kind of like, I don't want to say galaxy. It's not really galaxy. It's kind of galactic inspired as far as the colors go. But to me, it's more like a very funky, interesting patina you would see on something. Is the inspiration. It's not going to look exactly like patina, but as far as the finishes, I'd like them to look natural, like they patinaed, if that makes sense. Lay on a few more sheets, and then we'll start whisking away our extras. So I'm gonna press my leaf into there. Like I said, you don't have to like press it super hard, just enough to make sure it's really sticking to that adhesive pretty well. Wonder what the strangest thing anyone has ever gold leafed is. Like the most oddest thing you can think of with gold leaf on it. Curious to see what that might be. Okay, this is our last piece. I'm just going to use it to fill in any spots where I think I might be missing some covering of the adhesive. I think I did pretty good. I think we got it all covered. Okay, well, there's a little spot there. So, okay, so now I make sure I got it all on there good. Okay, so now is the messy part. This part really messes with my OCD crazy. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is kind of take my brush, and I like to work in like the opposite direction against, like at an angle, and I just start brushing away all of that extra leaf that did not stick to adhesive to form our design. I'm trying to get you some light to see here, but this light's not cooperating. Okay, so I'm brushing away all the extra. Pieces are flying everywhere. It's driving me insane, but it's okay. It's just flakes. We can clean it up, right? So brushing away all the extra. Can you see it? Can you see my stencil design coming out? Oh my gosh, it's so fun. It's like I'm uncovering dinosaur bones or something. I'm digging for buried treasure. Woohoo! Definitely my kind of treasure. Okay, this is driving me nuts. I'm gonna have to get the old shop vac out and vacuum as I go because OCD. am confident I got all my extras off that I wanted to get off, I'm just going to give it another final brush down here. See how sparkly it is? So sparkly. It looks kind of crazy in the video because of my lights, but it's really pretty in real life. So metal leaf needs to be sealed. Sometimes I use clear wax depending on what the rest of the piece is going to be looking like. In this case, I want to glaze this piece, so I'm going to seal this whole thing in polyacrylic, and I'm going to be using gloss. You could also use a semi-gloss, but don't use matte. If you're planning on doing a glaze, you want to use gloss or semi-gloss. So I'm just going to be using regular old polyacrylic. You could also use any water-based clear sealer. Really, there's acrylic sealers, Gator Hide. Dixie Belle has some clear sealers as well. I just happen to have just enough of this one left to do one more project, so I'm going to finish this off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and while that dries, or after that dries, we're going to go ahead and make and apply our glaze. I'm going to make a copper glaze, and I'm going to go over the whole thing in the copper glaze just to give it a little bit of extra shimmer over the blue, and then finish it off with some gilding waxes. So I'm going to go ahead and put that polyacrylic on now. All right, it's time to make our glaze. We're going to be glazing our piece that has the gloss polyacrylic. It's now dry, and we are going to make a glaze with some copper paint to put over that and kind of get in those details for a little bit of shimmer. You can buy metallic glazes like copper glaze, silver glaze, gold glaze. Just about anybody that makes paint makes metallic glazes as well. I just happen to not have any copper glaze on hand, so I'm just gonna make some. And I usually when I'm making like dark glazes, I use about 1 part of paint to 8 parts to 10 parts of glaze, glazing medium, which is just this clear glazing medium. When I'm making brown, black, I do kind of a lower ratio of paint to glazing medium. But since I'm using this metallic, which is kind of pretty transparent, I am using the metallic copper Dixie Belle top coat. There's a base coat and a top coat. I'm using the top coat. It's pretty transparent, so I'm doing a 50-50 mix of the Dixie Belle copper and the glazing medium because I want as much sparkle as I can get. So I went ahead and I mixed that up. Got my copper glaze, and I keep plenty of shop towels or shop rags on hand because you really want to, when you're wiping away the glaze after you apply it, you want to keep using like clean, dry sections of the towel, or else you're just kind of muddying it up and pushing around the glaze. So you can use chalk paint to make a glaze, acrylic paint, latex paint. I mean, any water-based paint I can think of you can use to make a glaze. And you can even use like mica powders, glitter, pigments. Really the only thing I don't think you could use would be oil-based stains and paints and enamels and things like that. So it's a lot of fun to play around with the different sheens that you can create, and glazes are fun. So like I said, you want to make sure you're glazing over a semi-gloss or gloss finish, because the process is paint on the glaze and then you want to wipe the excess off. So we're going to be wiping back the excess glaze so that it just sticks in the details. So if you don't finish your piece in gloss or semi-gloss and it's matte, it's just going to soak up that glaze and make it look, I mean, you might as well just be painting it in the glaze, especially if you're doing a light color like white or off-white or light gray, and you don't put a clear finish, a glossy finish on it, and you just try to put the glaze directly on it. It's going to make it look muddy and dirty, which I guess you could make that work, but it's not ideal. It kind of isn't really the point of a glaze. A glaze is supposed to be wiped back and just stick in the details there. So I'm going to work in small sections at a time because you don't want it to dry on you. You want to be able to wipe it back before it dries. So I'm going to start in a pretty small section, and just, I am kind of liberal with the glaze. Like I don't paint a thin layer. I just kind of plop it in there in the details. Make sure you get in the details because that's the most important part. So kind of have to dab it in there a little bit sometimes, depending on how detailed or how deeply carved your details are. So I'm going to dab it in there and make sure I get it really well. Okay, so I got my cleaning cloth, and I'm just going to gently wipe. You don't have to press really hard, just a light pressure to get that top layer off of the glaze. And you want to keep using the dry parts of your rag. So that's see how the sparkle, the copper is just sticking in the details there. Sorry, the light is just so bad right here. Can you see that? The copper. I'll do this section down here that is in the light better. I love glazing. I think the first time I ever did it and it was a success was with a black glaze, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And I went through a little period where I was glazing everything because I just loved it. It's so easy to do, and it just it makes a huge difference. It just takes something that's flat and makes it have dimension, and you know, it's just a huge difference. Okay, I got my small section covered, and I'm just gonna lightly wipe. Like I said, you don't even need to like press hard. I mean, it's so, just gently wipe off the excess. And you can wipe as much or as little. I'm trying to go kind of heavy on the sparkle, but see that? So I really like the copper with the blue. It's just such a nice contrast, you know. And I've done a lot of grays with black glaze. I don't really think white with black glaze is really a great combination because it just turns your white paint kind of gray looking, in my opinion. So I would just, with white, I would stick with like a brown or antique glaze or whatever. But you could do fun colors and things too. I like navy glaze over blue, looks really good. Blue glaze on like a hunter green or a dark green looks really good. White glaze looks really good over dark colors. It just depends on what kind of look you're going for, you know. You can make any color glaze, like I said. Also, I've been out of glaze before, and I've actually used colored wax to do the same process. I've used wax in the same technique, in the same manner, and it's worked. I prefer the glaze. It's much smoother and a little easier to work with, I think. I hope you can see that. It's a little better. down here to the bottom and see if we can get some of the feet. Again, make sure you get in those details, because that's where it's going to stick when you wipe away the excess. So you can see the glazed copper foot has just more definition in the details versus the non-glazed copper foot, or I'm sorry, non-glazed foot. And I think in better light it'll sparkle more, but this light is not wanting to cooperate today. Maybe one more side here. Okay, small section at a time. Cool. So I just got to go around and finish up the rest and let it dry, and then we're going to do our gilding waxes, which, as you know, really kick it up a notch. So I'm going to finish the rest of this out and let it dry. Okay, so I moved this over here to some better light, which I probably should have done in the first place, but now you can see how it's turning out. Those details look really good. Now we are going to do our final step, which is our gilding wax. And I am using ReDesign with Prima Decor Wax, which I just started using, and I love this stuff. Decor Wax, ReDesign with Prima. I'm also going to be using one Art Alchemy wax, also by Prima, and a Dixie Belle Gilding Wax in patina green. So here's a patina green. And it goes on kind of not transparent, but a little bit translucent, and it dries to this opaque patina looking color, so it's pretty neat little effect. The purple that we're using is the Electric Violet Art Alchemy Wax. And these two, the green and the purple, we're just going to be doing little dabs, accents of it, almost so when you look at it, you're like, oh, is that purple? You know, like just a touch. But for the most part, we're going to be using Amber Lights, which is this color, and Meteor Showers. I love the names of these. Meteor Showers, which is this more coppery kind of color. So I am going to, I guess I'll start at the top and work my way down, and we'll do one side at a time so you can see. Starting with my darker, my Meteor Showers, and I'm just gonna go over the tops of things lightly with my finger. You can use a brush if you want. I much prefer using my finger for waxes. I'm lightly going over the tops of the details. I don't want to get it down in there because I got my glaze that I want my glaze to be effective still. And I'm not going over every single surface, so I'm just going to kind of keep it like to the details, you know, if that makes sense. Very lightly over the tops. Isn't this color so pretty? Meteor Showers. Oh my gosh, it's just so pretty. But I'm a sucker for sparkle. Anything that sparkles, I will take it, please. Thank you. All right, look at that. That is so pretty. I love it. I love using these waxes. If I haven't said it before, I'm saying it now. They're just, I mean, they're fun, and they add so much. And they're really easy to use. I've used so many different kinds of waxes, and I'm kind of picky about my waxes. It's got to be the right consistency, or else, some are too thin and they're not fun to use because you just feel like you can't get the right amount on when they're too thin. Which a tip for if you have a wax that you feel like is too thin, just like leave it open and for a few hours, check it. If it's still too thin, leave it open overnight and it'll thicken up for you. I mean, obviously don't let it dry all the way completely out, but that's just a tip. I've had to do that before for some that were too thin for my preferences. All right, this is a great color. All of these waxes are great colors. I'm very impressed with them. Just some dabs. And go over the feet, the toes, just a little bit. Some on the sides. Okay, let's get this side real quick. Okay, so that is our meteor shower color. Next I'm going to do the Amber Lights. It's just like, I don't know, like golden, really warm, rich gold. And these smell like citrus. They have a very orangey citrus smell, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to use this lighter color just to kind of accent the darker color. So I'm just kind of going to go over, you know, some spots that I've already hit with the meteor shower color, and I'm just using it really as an accent to kind of make it look like it's shining in the light, you know. See, I'm just accenting what I've already gotten laid down, not going over and adding new color to new spots or anything like that. I'm just kind of accenting. Okay, cool. Oh, I forgot to get the base here. So let me get my meteor shower. Got a little space there. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. All right, what do you think? Cool, right? Like that is so shiny and pretty. I love it. I could probably stop here and call, you know, like finish it out with just these two colors for the feet. Pretty, right? But more is better, right? In my book, more is always better. So I'm gonna do purple next. And like I said, the purple is just gonna be little dabs here and there, kind of like, I don't know, to add some depth. But I don't want big areas of purple. I just want little bits, little accents of purple here and there. So I'm not even gonna get carried away with it. I'm just gonna dab some on here and there. Just for some extra. Okay, see the little purple accents? I didn't get too carried away. Just enough. Just enough, just a touch. And then this, like I said earlier, the Dixie Belle gilding wax in green patina, it will dry a little bit brighter than it looks in here. So I gotta be careful I don't get too carried away with this either. And I am just gonna dab that on probably, I don't know, probably just a few edges. It'll give it a bit of a patina look, which is kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for like a oxidized metal kind of effect in the end. Don't want to get carried away with the green, so I really really don't want much of the green, just a touch. So here and there. Like I said, you probably can't see it very much right now because it's not dried yet, but once it dries, it'll pop some more. So here, I'll show you. Because I did this foot. See the green, how much brighter it's gotten? And I didn't even think I used hardly any. And it's already like, it's like a copper penny. What happens, you know how it gets that green crusties on it? It's very, very similar kind of green. And I didn't even think I put this much on it, but apparently I did. So it's a little bit, really pops when it's dry. So I really want to go kind of light with that. I can always add more if I don't think that it's enough. So. Cool. And that is our treatment to this beautiful little table. And then obviously the copper matches the stenciling on top. So it all goes together. I'll probably do some of the waxes around the edge too, to make that kind of blue hard line coordinate. But anyways, that is the home decor waxes with a Dixie Belle patina wax and Art Alchemy gilding wax or metallic wax, all working together. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out, and then that is that's a wrap for this piece. So I hope that you picked up some kind of knowledge, or at least enjoyed watching me play with paints and waxes. If you have any questions, message me at CC Restyled on Facebook. Have a great day.